Hello. At Ople, we use AI to build AI. Simply put, our software models the elite capabilities, experience, behaviors, skills, but most importantly, the intuition of the world's top data scientists, putting into the hands of our customers a platform that enables their PhD data scientists, their citizen data scientists, or even their domain experts with no formal data science training to develop and deploy production-grade AI models in as few as minutes, hours, or maybe a day or two, depending on the size and complexity of the problem. When we look back at the technical revolutions that we've all experienced over the past century, depending on our age, they all have one very important thing in common, and that is that they did not transform society. They did not change the way that we run our businesses or behave as human beings until they were three things. And those three things are easy, cheap, and ubiquitous. And I think we can all agree that right now AI is none of those three. That is our mission at Ople, to be the driver of that transformation within AI. In working with our customers, we really want people to start to think about their imagination being the only limiter when it comes to innovation and applying AI, not the acumen or skills of their team. I think in the words of Ryan from the earlier panel, we at Ople are enabling people to cut the crap and actually get on with applying AI to solving not just the moonshot problems, but the day-to-day things that really it can help with that maybe you hadn't thought about. So when we look at the data scientist's biggest value that they're bringing to the table is strategic problem formulation. However, there's a problem the way it's currently done today. So when we talk about strategic problem formulation, that's talking to a business person like myself, like you folks in the audience, understanding our problems, translating them into a mathematically solvable or predictable hypothesis. Then gathering the data, and they go through what we call this manual model building process. I'm not going to get into the details, but there's a lot of coding involved. There's all sorts of different types of choices from platforms and tools. Underneath this, there's a lot of interaction they have to go through with IT and DevOps in terms of spinning up compute and using different tools. And then at the end, after 3 months, maybe 6 months, sometimes a year of effort to build the model, the deployment ends up being what's called a massive ensemble that takes so much compute power and so much time that it's not even valuable. It often also differs a lot in terms of its structure, which causes a lot of problems for actually implementing it into the real world. With Ople, the data scientist is put squarely back in the position of being able to focus on their number one value, strategic problem formulation. And Ople does that through our proprietary method that we call behavioral assimilation. And what behavioral assimilation is doing is just what I said at the beginning. It is modeling the intuition of the world's elite data scientists. So as soon as the data is loaded in, again, all they're doing is focusing on the problem. So imagine even a domain expert that can use an Excel spreadsheet and build out a business model. All of a sudden, they can do that and build a model using Ople by just loading the data into the system. Behavioral assimilation will understand that problem. It will go through all of the hyperparameterization, all those different steps that you go through in the process. It'll also do all the DevOps. So if you're loading in a 5 or a 10 gigabyte training file, it'll decide I can build this in memory. Or if it's a 2 terabyte training file, it will decide that I need to spin up computers and build it out of memory. Lastly, behavioral assimilation will always deliver a superior performing model in terms of whatever success metric like accuracy or cross entropy that you might define. But when it gets put into production, Base trains a very lightweight, highly performant neural network where customers of ours now are deploying these. They're making 10 million predictions a minute, for example, on petabytes of data. We have customers in the e-commerce space that have gone from a team of 10 data scientists only being able to serve the search team and doing 15 projects a year to now servicing every part of the organization and doing 15 projects a month. So it's a massive acceleration in terms of time to value. So let's take a look at how this works. So we're going to go into the product itself right now. The first thing we do is we go to the dashboard. We're going to start a new job. This is supervised learning. It requires structured data. We're going to load our training set, and this is coming from the computer. Then we load a test set. If you don't have a test set, we use five-fold cross-validation, so you don't need that. We'll create it for you. You then validate, so the data scientists can see that the data was read in properly. They can make a change if they disagree, minor feature engineering. At this point, you name the model, and then we allow you to set the runtime. Take 20 minutes at the first SAB to test whether your hypothesis is accurate, whether your data is correct, to see if you're on the right path. We're now going to actually look at a job. That's the end of human interaction, by the way, to build the model. So what's happening now is Base is going to bring in all of the most popular algorithms that apply to this problem. It's going to do massive benchmarking. It's going to build hundreds of models, dozens with each of these algorithms. Each of those dots represents a model with full hyperparameter optimization. Base then learns from that, builds a superior performing model, and then you deploy it here in the form of this lightweight neural network. You can access it via this RESTful API, do a test prediction here, and then we give you the code to copy and paste it into your environment. You can also extract that model into your own environment if you can't deal with the latency of a couple hundred milliseconds. So now that it is possible to build and deploy production-grade AI models in minutes to hours or days, I want to have conversations with you about how that changes your view of AI, how you can start to solve problems that you never thought possible. And I'd love to share some stories of the different pilots that we're engaged in within both the insurance space and the fintech space. I'll be around all evening, and I look forward to speaking with you. Thank you.
Up next, please welcome Vinny